by, Spider-Man.
We are Venom!
Gotta move.
Oh, crap.
Gloves off! What's up, everybody? Today I want to show you how fast and easy it is to bring 3D character scans to life with AccuPOSE by Reallusion. A lot of you have asked me how I'm 3D animating my action figures. This is one of the tools I go to almost every time I create an animation. Hi, it's Make It Move Media. I've been 3D scanning and animating my action figure collection for about 3 years now, but my animation experience is well over a decade. If you want to see more of my work, you can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Make It Move Media. All right, let's get started. What's up, everybody? It's Make It Move Media with Reallusion software, and today I'm going to animate my Spider-Man action figure using AccuRIG, iClone 8, and a new tool inside of iClone 8 called AccuPOSE. Check this out. Or that. All right, so we're over here in AccuRIG, and the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to put my Venom 3D scanned action figure into here. We're going to upload it as an FBX. What I did is I 3D scanned a Polycam, I brought it over here into Blender, and then I cleaned it up. And now I have imported it into AccuRIG. I just want to show you real quick what this looks like, how easy it is. So basically set your points. What's cool about AccuRIG is it'll give you instructions over here on the right on each point that you need to place. And you can kind of see, go to the right hand. It does a good job of lining things up, and then you kind of just move it around, change it a little bit if things are off. But typically this is pretty on point. Here's the right hand, and then, you know, it's pretty easy. That's why they call it AccuRIG. I'm gonna finalize my character. Okay, here we are. Once your character is finalized, you can get a preview of it, and you can go through some different poses to make sure that he's bending okay and that everything looks the way you want it to look. I typically do this kind of stretching around pose, and then I'll go to like the walk pose and make sure my walk cycle looks how I want it to. This looks pretty phenomenal. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna upload this to ActorCore. Okay, so now I'm over here in ActorCore, and you can see that I've uploaded quite a few of my 3D scanned action figures. And what's cool about that, and here's the Venom that I just uploaded. And what's cool about it is you can go over to motions, and if you want to kind of test this out, which I highly recommend doing, is I'm going to use a web crawler. This is a new set of animations that Reallusion has put out. And if you click on one of your motions after selecting your character, you can have them readily available to view that. And so you can view them, you know, jumping around, singing, whatever motion capture file that you chose, you can kind of get a good preview of that. This is rigged really well. And then if I wanted to see Spidey do this, I can just go in and I can start switching my characters around, and I have Spidey right here, and there he is. So he's just crawling around, doing his Spidey thing. You know what I'm talking about? So anyway, brief overview of ActorCore, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna import this as a character file inside of iClone 8. Okay, now we're in iClone 8, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna import my Spider-Man action figure that I have 3D scanned, and I've made an avatar. It's a custom avatar, and I can build a whole library within iClone 8. It's pretty cool. What we're gonna do is I'm going to make Spider-Man web sling twice from his hand. He's going to shoot webs out of it so that they get venom. And they're going to kind of be like balls of webs, like weapons, more than like a swinging web. And so what's cool about iClone 8 and AccuPOSE is AccuPOSE makes this fairly simple to do. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put Spider-Man in a pose. I'm just going to do a jump kick 1 at first. So this is going to be a set pose that I'm going to do. And then I'm going to go down here to Wall Crawler, and I'm going to apply the Wall Crawler model. And it kind of changed the stance a little bit, but that's okay. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and position Spidey how I want him to be. So I'm going to freeze Spider-Man's lower half here, and I'm just going to pose his arms where I want them, and kind of put his hands where I kind of feel like they need to be. And what's cool about this web crawler is it's going to try to pose Spider-Man in a way that is more natural to his Spidey poses. And so this makes it really easy for me to get him exactly where I need him and put him in the pose of exactly how I want him to look. And so everything's up to me, but it's also using a little bit of AI to train the model on where to be. So what I've done is I fixed his lower half, and I'm just gonna put him in this like heroic pose. Yes! And really mess with his weight distribution a little bit and his hand location from that other pose that I started with. So this is kind of like Spider-Man's getting ready to do something right now. Once I get this, I'm gonna mess with his hands, and this is on my first frame, and I'm just gonna close his back fist. I'm gonna open his front hand here. And what's cool about AccuPOSE is I can do all of that really easy and just set keyframes. So this is setting automatic keyframes, and this is kind of where I want Spidey. I want him in that ready pose of I'm gonna do something, right? Okay, the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over about 20 frames into the timeline, and I'm going to select this web sling right motion so that he'll go from where he's standing now to that pose. But what's important is I want my left foot to keep its position. And so I want it to lock there as best as possible. So I'm gonna make sure that under here, I'm selecting left foot. You can select left toe, kind of a debate on which one to choose. And then I'm going to go ahead and double click this, and it's gonna apply that pose. Now you notice that he's rotated in a different direction than where I want him. I want him to be facing the direction we're looking right now. So right now, if I were to play the timeline, he's looking at us, and then he kind of looks away and slings. This is pretty easy to fix. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over to my control panel here within AccuPOSE, and I'm gonna make sure this move body is selected. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and rotate his body like this, and then I'm gonna select his head. I'm gonna make his head look at us. So now he's looking at the camera, and that's where I want him to be. So now when I play this animation, I've got Spidey, boom, doing his thing, but it's not quite complete yet. It doesn't have this real feeling that I want it to have. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go right about here, and you notice Spider-Man's foot should be lifting up, because in real life, you don't just slide your feet around, right? And so a couple things are happening. His left foot is sliding backwards here. I don't want that to happen. And his right foot never picks up off the ground. So right around frame 10, I'm gonna go ahead and lift his foot up here, just like this. And I'm going to give his foot a little bit of a rotation as well, because when you lift off the ground, your feet just don't stay in their normal position. And this is gonna add a little bit of realism to it, a little bit more animation to it, and you can exaggerate it as much as you want, but that's step number one. And so now he's lifting his leg up, and then he's doing his thing. That looks just like Spider-Man. One thing too that I didn't do, and I'm gonna do this right now, is I'm gonna make sure that foot contact is selected. So this is gonna make sure that Spider-Man's feet, when they hit the ground, they're not ever gonna go past the ground. This is pretty important. And throughout this, when I do add a keyframe here, I like to hit compute. It just fine tunes things a little bit, I noticed, and then makes it pretty awesome. And so one thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move my body here, and I'm gonna use this little intersection on my grid for his left foot, because I want his left foot to stay there. So throughout this whole, he's pivoting around that. So I'm gonna get as close as I can. I'm gonna move his body every frame so that I'm getting as close to that as possible. And so it's a little tedious, and there might be a better way to do that. I just haven't figured it out yet. So in the comments, if you guys know how, let me know. But now his foot is pivoting around his foot, if you see that there. And that's important, because that's gonna, that's gonna sell the effect. That's gonna sell what he's doing in your animation. You see his hand's kind of wonky. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna move his hand into a more natural pose, a more, hey, I'm swinging my arms. I kind of even would want him to come across his body a little bit. But let's see what this looks like. So boom. Yeah, so like if it were me, and it is, I'm gonna have him kind of gather himself a little bit so that it's a little more exaggerated. Could probably even do it a lot more than that. So like he's coming up, and he's just gonna swing this thing. Boom, boom. That's the secret sauce right there. That's the stuff that I'm talking about. And another cool feature about AccuPOSE is I can come in here and I can look at my curves. And so I can select this hand, and I can say, okay, I want to see my left hand motion of where everything's going. And it really helps animators understand how smooth those motions are, especially if like you're jumping up and down. Like right now, this motion I'm good with. I would not modify anything with this because I don't think it's necessary. But I could if I really wanted to. And it's just phenomenal. So like this here, like this hip rotation, I can mess with a little bit, and then it would drastically change. I mean, that actually helped this right here quite a bit. So now that weight distribution is more in line with his left foot, and it just looks more accurate to me. Okay, so now this is really good. This is solid. It's a nice, quick motion, but I wanted to do it twice. Okay, to do this, what we're gonna do is we're going to move our timeline, and I'm gonna extend it by like 20 seconds, so I'm gonna move it to 50 seconds. I'm gonna make sure I'm on Wall Crawler here in AccuPOSE, and I'm gonna hit Apply Model. I'm gonna close AccuPOSE down, and I'm gonna copy and paste, Control-C, Control-V, that same animation. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to reset the pivot on this animation, and I'm going to mirror it. So I'm gonna mirror my clip. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slap these two together, right around the 40-second mark. Now you see I've got this action going on. So what I need to do is I need to set a rotation here, and then I'm going to set a rotation here, and I'm going to align my right foot. Boom, boom, that's about the same target. There you have it. Okay, now that our animation is complete, what we're going to do is we're going to use Blender Link to send the animation into Blender. I've added a few extra characters here to show how you can send multiple characters into Blender, as well as so you have Spider-Man's animation here that we just created, and I'll just play that real quick so we can see it. boom, boom, and then I have him going into an idle mode where he's just going to be kind of standing. And how I did that was I used this battle idle from the Spiderman Wall Crawler pack here and dragged it in there and blended it. I won't go into that right now, but very simple to do. So now we're going to use the data link. I'm going to start the server, and then I'm going to go over to Blender, and I'm going to connect. Now notice that in Blender I put some landmarks here. These circles here, here, and here. And what that's going to do is I exported it out of Blender, so that's where I want my characters to be. And so in iClone 8, I just made sure they lined up with that placement here. So now we're going to go ahead and send Spidey over to Blender. We just hit send avatar. And then when I go over to Blender, give it a second. Boom, there he is with his animation intact. So there's the animation we did. And now I'm going to import the other two characters. So I'm going to import Venom, send avatar. Again, I'm inside of Blender. It's linked. And we should see him anytime now. There he is. And I'm going to create actions from these, like so, just in my action editor. And then I'm going to export my last character. I'm going to send avatar. Saves a lot of time, and if I update any type of animation, I can just hit send motion, and it'll update my character. So there we have all of our characters inside of Blender. And so I will slip into my camera view and turn my rendering engine on, and this is what we have. And so I'm just going to get rid of the locators here, and here, and also here. And then I'm going to go right into my camera view. And now you can see my animation of Spidey taking on Venom, all right from iClone 8. Pretty cool. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Check out the full animation here.
Bye, Spider-Man. We are Venom.
Gotta move. Oh, crap. Gloves up!
Are mine.